Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Joy Evans.
And today we're taking a look at a game from GMT Games. King of War games called A Gest of Robin Hood.
Yes.
Is it a guest or a jest?
I looked it up, but it goes both ways.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Est of Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
This is a game where one person's playing Robin Hood, the other person's playing the sheriff and his outlaws. And they're merry men. Although I will be honest, not a lot of merry men in this game.
There's not. And also this is a coin game, I guess, which stands for like counterinsurgency. Did not know that till I looked it up.
It's a very, very light coin game.
Okay, I have not played any other coin games, so I don't know.
You would not know that from this. You
$3.
will also not know that from the explanation Joey's about to give.
It's a good one. Okay, we are set up for a game of Gest, or I guess Guest, of Robin Hood right now. Now, first off, here are the books it comes with. You've got your playbook, got your learn to play, and the rules of play. So all of these. Now again, it's a fairly simple game, but there's a lot to it. So this is going to be a very high level overview, as the big how to play is like an hour long. So I just want to kind of give you a feel of how the game is played. Pretty much this is a tug of war game where you want to end the game with this token right here on your side, either order or justice. And the game ends when I think it's called when King Richard comes back. The King Richard return card comes forward, or the Royal Inspection card right here comes out, and you have got it on your side on any of these dark points here. 5, 6, or 7 on order, or 5, 6, or 7 on justice. So it's a tug of war trying to get it back to your side. Now we're set up, Robin Hood has his merry men. You've got some merry men over here in your supply, and you also he has his merry men just all across the board right here, and they're hidden so you don't know which one is Robin Hood. In this case, this one right here is Robin Hood here. But the other ones, these are simply merry men. So you're going to have yours hidden around the board. And the sheriff also has his henchmen various places across the board as well. Now, the parishes are either set to submissive for order or revolting for justice. So this right here is set to revolt, and this one over here is set to submit. So all the parishes are set one way or the other. Now, the actions you take, which I'm going to go to in a moment, are going to either move pieces across the board, they're going to gather shillings that you can spend on plots and deeds, or they're going to move the track up and down on your side. First off, here's a sequence of playing. First, you're going to draw an event card. The event cards are right up here. And here's a sample event here. So the events are going to have two different things that can be done. One is going to be better for Robin Hood, and the other is going to be better for the sheriff. It could be actually the opposite way. But so one is going to be good for either side. So if you do choose the event card, you get to choose which one you want to do, which of course you're going to do the one that you want to do. All right, so now we have got initiative down here. You've got right here who goes first eligible, and then you've got second eligible. Here are the options you can take: single plot, event, or plots and deeds. Single plot is you're going to choose one of these plots from your board, right up here, which we'll go to some of those in a moment. And then event, you get to choose right over here. You can choose to do that event, do whichever one benefits you. And then plots and deeds, you get to choose a plot and a deed from your board. So you get to this one, which is this, but you also get a deed action as well. Now, once you select these, at the end, they're going to drop down in the order they were. So for example, if it went this way on the next time, then the sheriff would be the first player. Now, another thing is you can actually go to one of these events and pass, so you'd be gathering shillings instead, and you just pretty much go here and then just take a shilling if you're Robin Hood, or take 2 if you're the sheriff. So you can go to each one of these just kind of to block and just to pass your turn. All right, so to remind you of what you can do, each of you are going to have this plots and deeds card, which are going to tell you what you can do on each side. And you're each going to have one of these, so it's a little bit simpler. Now, one other thing to mention here, this is now kind of set up openly. Each of you are going to have your own player screen that everything is going to be behind, so they can't see how many you have left and all that kind of stuff, and also where you've got your merry men. So you are going to have this board or this player screen set up. But let's go over the plots and deeds for each person. All right, for Robin Hood, some plots are you can recruit more men or a camp, which moves you up justice, or you can sneak, where you can move, or you can rob. Now, rob, briefly, is you can rob travelers right here. So travelers, if you rob a traveler, you're going to grab from a traveling deck, just like this, and you're going to rob this traveler. You can rob a carriage in your space right over here, or you can rob from Nottingham. So either of those three you can rob. In order to rob, you're going to reveal a number of merry men, and you're going to compare it to the defense of either the traveler or the carriage or an item itself, and you're going to roll a die. So this is the target's defense die. In forests and revolting parishes, you're going to get the green die, which is a bit friendlier, and otherwise you're going to have the white one. So you're going to go ahead and add this or subtract this to their defense. Now, if you rob a traveler, you're going to pull a random one, like I said, from the traveler deck, and they have a defense value and a pass and a fail. If you fail, it's discarded. If you succeed, they're put in a victim's pile. If the number of merry men you revealed plus the die is more than the defense, then you succeed. Otherwise, you fail. All right, so Robin Hood, some of his deeds are turncoat. He can turn a henchman to a merryman, donate to a parish to make it revolt, swashbuckle to move Robin Hood and merry men and hide them, or get Robin Hood out of prison. And he also inspire. Robin Hood reveals himself to set the parish to revolting, or if it's already at revolting, like this one right here, then you're going to take one step towards justice. Now, some of the sheriff's actions are the plots. Hire, he can bring more henchmen out. Patrol, move henchmen in spaces and reveal merrymen. Capture, throw some revealed merrymen in prison, and that includes Robin Hood and camps. Some deeds are ride is move again, confiscate, that's get a carriage of loot from an area instead it's revolting. So these are his carriages right here, just like this. Now, when you're going to get one, you're pretty much going to put a carriage here and you're going to turn this revolting because you pretty much just stolen all of their money and you're going to send it back to Nottingham. Now, if these carriages make it to Nottingham, then you're going to get the reward and you're going to make a move towards order this way right here. Otherwise, if Robin Hood robs it successfully, he's going to get the reward and he's also going to move that a step towards justice. Finally, disperse. And that's removed to enemy pieces, and if a camp is removed, then you get a step towards order and you set the camp to revolting. Okay, back to the track. Some ways to move towards order are some of the effects on the event cards will move towards order. Getting rid of camps, like this one right here. Capturing Robin Hood, who is over here, but you don't know that yet. Getting carriages in Nottingham, and during the royal inspection, which we'll get to that in a moment. Now, also towards justice is event and traveler effects, of course. Placing camps, inspire parishes, rob carriages, the treasury, and the royal inspection. Now, royal inspection, what is that? Once this royal inspection card comes out, you are going to activate these right here. That is handy dandy on the back of your player screen. First off is unrest. You're going to check the number of submissive and revolting parishes, and this can move the tracker towards order or justice. Then you check for victory at 5 points plus. Mischief phase, Robin Hood gets money, can rob once, or donate and return half the merry men from jail to available. Governance. Sheriff gets money and remove half the henchmen from revolting parishes and set any revolting parishes to submissive if there are more henchmen. Redeployment. Henchmen leave revolting parishes and forests and get your carriages back from used to available. Merry men move from submissive to forest or camps and any others. They then flip all back to hidden and Robin Hood comes back out from available to a forest space. And then you reset, shuffle the traveler deck, discard pile, back into the main one, put Robin Hood to first, and you keep going. And finally, when King Richard's card comes out, you just only do the unrest phase, and then you choose a victor to whoever side you are on in the tug-of-war battle between order and justice, and that player wins. Go Robin of Locksley. So pretty much, that is a quick and dirty overview of a Gest of Robin Hood. Let's send it back and see what we thought about it.
I don't know how I feel about this. That the fact that there is a learn to play document, great, and then a rule book, and then this whole giant playbook with articles, and they talk about every card. It's not that I don't like all this stuff. It's that when I first opened this box, I was like, nah, fool, this is way too complex. And this game is pretty simple.
It really is, and that's the thing. When you open up, the organization of the rule book is the one thing, besides the fact there's 3 of them. Even the learn to play is just so scattered. It's like to get into this, the entry point, if you don't have someone teaching the game, seems to be immense for what is fairly a simple game. It's a tug of war.
To be fair, though, even though it's a simple game, it's easy to miss some rules because this is GMT, and they'll definitely say, well, this river, and you can't cross here, and do this sort of thing.
It has the fiddly aspects to it, too.
I gotta be honest, I don't dislike the game.
No.
I think it's fine. It just feels like a developer from another publisher, because this feels like a GMT game.
Yep.
It just doesn't feel... It feels like this game is almost in its own way. They're like, it's got to be a war game. Okay? Know that. And I'm like, it is a war game. It's a counterinsurgency game. A coin game. I'm okay with all that. But can we not make it a little bit streamlined? A little bit simpler?
No, I agree. I think there are little fiddly rules when you get to all the plots and deeds and all that. Like, I didn't go through all of them in the explanation because there are little nuances throughout the game. Now, that being said, I do like a lot of the theme in this game. Like, when you take the carriage of stuff from one parish, you set to revolt, because you just rob them, you know?
Yeah.
And then the inspiration where Robin Hood rips off the hood and is like, I'm Kevin Costner, you know? And it's like, in my mind.
At least I speak with an English accent.
So, I mean, that part. And then also the whole merrymen jumping out to rob the carriage. They have to be hidden, then they reveal themselves and jump on the carriage. There are very thematic moments that you see in that.
Yes, I'm looking at it. I think the game is not as thematic as it could be, but the mechanisms, the very main mechanism, where who's choosing what first, I really, really like that.
I do
you
too.
want to deal with the event card? Well, I do, but I would rather do something else instead. And that feels, it's a nice ebb and flow back between the players. Like, I would really like to go first.
And I think there's a good flow on that.
But I'd rather take the better card.
Right. Well, also, if the event cards are not great, you may have to be first because you don't want that next
You're just
event
stopping
card.
your opponent from getting it.
Because that next event card could be not game breaking, but really tilt the scales.
All right. So speaking of tilted scales, we're going to say, because we're going to get lambasted for what I'm about to say. I don't know if you agree with me or not.
Okay. Ooh.
We're not experts. I don't know every detail. So I'm only going from a couple plays here or so. It feels like Robin Hood has the advantage.
Yes.
I might be wrong, and I'm sure I am. But for your first game, it's going to feel like the sheriff has a hard time.
It does.
I feel.
The whole time you're going to feel like the sheriff has the advantage because there's a lot of money coming the sheriff's way.
Oh, at first. You start the game off, you're like, ho, 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 I'm rich. Robin Hood stole it all.
Right. But then once those inspections happen, I agree. Most of the time I see the Robin Hood player run away. You know, not run away, but win.
Yeah, and well, he's supposed to win. He's the hero.
Right.
No, but there's still other things that go on. I'm a big fan, talking about mechanism, this one does have a good theme. Like, Robin's like, what kind of wagon did he just send? Is that one full of treasure?
Or traps.
Or is it a trap?
Yeah,
and you're just trying to
like
outthink
that.
the other person.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of decisions as far as moving around. I mean, and the hiding aspect I like. Turncoat, there are different things. I like the theme that goes into this. Makes me want to play more coin games, and I realize that this is probably the limit of my coin games. You know? So I'm like...
Well, it might be. You played Root, maybe?
I would. Yeah. Okay, so that
Root's a
would...
coin
Yeah. And the time on this is about, what does it say? It's 30 to 45 minutes, right?
It took us, for sure, longer to learn it than to play it.
Yeah, that's the problem with it.
It's not particularly lengthy.
No.
I don't know how I feel about this one. This one's a weird one. So I'm going to come in here at a 7. I like it. There's things I'm not a huge fan of. I think that the game itself doesn't look particularly stunning. No. There's some parts of it that are interesting and all. And, you know, ye old woodcut art. I guess some people love that. I'd rather have, you know, your typical Sir Arthur Conan Doyle style heroic paintings. I think that the rules are way overly complex for entry level. I mean, this is one of those ones where it was funny. I threw out the rule book and said, I'll watch a video on how to play. Halfway through the video, I said, give me the rule book back.
Right.
Because there's just so many things to talk about in this game, but it's not overly, it feels more complex than it needs to be.
I agree.
That being said, it's Robin Hood. It feels, I'm assuming, it's very balanced. Yes. And both sides are perfectly even. And if Robin Hood has a slight advantage, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Probably people will tell us the sheriff actually has the advantage. I'm sure there are ways around it, and things could go either way. The order the events come out is interesting. You know, Guy of Gisborne showing up and Robin Hood is trying to rob people.
Good.
There's just a lot of interesting facts. So I like it. I don't love it. I feel like it could be even more impressive, but I enjoyed it. So 7 out of 10.
I could a bit higher at 7.5, only because I love the game. I mean, even the theme when you go to the forest, where as a sheriff, you want to avoid the forest because that's where Robin Hood is strongest. He gets the better die. He has a little more men. I like that aspect. There's so many good themes coming out of this, but the problem, it's such a hard entry point. If they could get someone else to write their rule books, you know, if they're going to go ahead and get into something that's more approachable, then start with the rule books too, because I think this is an approachable game, but you would not know that by looking through this plethora of books and the way they're organized and stuff.
And here's my argument, because I know we'll get some clap back on that in the sense of, well, yeah, you got a full thing here, an example of play, and everything's numbered and it's easier. Look, no other publisher practically is doing this, and there's a reason for that. Yes, functionally this is great. So is my car manual. But I'm learning games, and I think I don't even mind the 2 rule books of a learn to play and then the actual rules. But jumping around between them, the full gameplay was very helpful and useful. It just felt like there could have been a much simpler onboarding process.
Right.
I do like the history, though. Tell me more about Robin Hood and all the things. Of course, every time I read this, I'm like, I thought Robin Hood was awesome.
I know nothing about Robin Hood.
They're always telling me Robin Hood is like not as, he's just a robber.
Yeah, that makes me sad.
Take his heart out with a spoon.
Hats.
Anyhow, interesting game. Very interesting, and I'm definitely going to check out the next one that they'll probably do in this series from this designer. And maybe someday you'll get me and Joey to play a big coin game that takes 6 hours, but highly unlikely.
Better rule book? I'd do it.
Well, if we had a teacher, I don't care.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Joey Evans.
And I already used the spoon line.
Rob the rich, give to the poor?
Because it hurts, you twit. I don't know. Something like that. Robin Hood. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.